That also.
Just going to the channel. Yep, seems to have.
Excellent.
Down to 37, 36, 35.
Perfect. It's all working. So we're at 23 on our side. So at least it's all gone through. 10-second delay is not too bad. So questions should be pretty current. Hello and welcome to the Fresh Air Sci-Fi Show. I'm Joe.
And I'm Dave.
And we're going to try something a little bit different tonight. The first thing I'm going to do is do my best not to go off-piste straight away.
And no laughing.
Oh, yes. We had our first complaint.
You've already failed.
You tell me not to laugh. What am I going to do? I mean, it'd be like telling you not to do philosophy. I mean, it's just,
It's just not possible.
No, it's part of our ontology.
Aye.
But yes, joking aside, tonight we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to do an article reading. We have done one before when we first started doing the streams. This one is on one of my articles, and I just wanted to test the format, see how it works, and if people enjoy the format and what we're doing, then we will probably roll it out, maybe start looking at other articles and things like that where we can also do it too. Also covering off some of our own articles. I know some people prefer having the audio or visual element there rather than just reading, whereas other people like to read. So if we do it this way, then hopefully the articles can get a little bit more exposure and get a bit more critique, especially critique whilst we're live on air. Now, a lot of the things that we do with our articles is we put them out there and we almost use the internet audience as a peer review. And yes, you do get some denialists and things like that who just want to poo-poo everything you've written. You get some people who are overly positive, which is always lovely, but sometimes doesn't necessarily help you refine it. You get some people out there who will comment on the spelling and the grammar and things like that, which is obviously helpful to someone like me who's dyslexic. So, I really appreciate those. Intrigued Feline is one of the ones that's actually come on. She's done a couple of guest pieces, and she's probably done 4 or 5 of my articles correcting the grammar. The last one that she corrected, she was like, actually, there wasn't anything wrong with it, which was like amazing. I don't know how that happened, but
Awesome.
Miracles do happen sometimes.
It feels good.
Yeah. And then you get other people who want to discuss the idea, look at it further. I got an amazing response on Does Morality Have a Purpose? The guy gave really well thought out response, and he actually said a few things that inspired me to start looking into a second article, which now that I think about it, I haven't actually looked at for a good couple of months because I've been distracted by other things. So when we are doing our own articles, please feel free to say whatever you feel about it, but if it is a critique, we'd prefer it to be constructive. So if you're going to say that sentence doesn't read right, that's fine. How should it read to get the same message across but read better? That sort of thing. Perfectly fine with anything like that. At the end of the day, it will help me improve my writing skills and perhaps make things make sense to other people.
Which is what we want.
Exactly. We're here having these conversations because we enjoy it, obviously, but we also want to have these discussions with other people, with you, with our audience. So that's what we're going for. So tonight we are discussing the psychology of rejection. Now, the actual article is called Tribalism and the Psychology of Rejection. So we will do our best to answer any questions about the article as they come in. Dave might want to expand on a few different bits as well. Just some background of me and psychology. I am a layperson in this topic as well, but like philosophy, I do read bits and look into stuff. Dave does have a psychology degree, and he's given it the once over. My buddy Ben, who we were hoping to capture for tonight, to come on with us, but he's actually busy. He's a psychotherapist and or a trainee psychotherapist, and he too looked at it and went, "Yeah, there's nothing I can correct on that." So I'm fairly confident that this piece has some truth to it, though I would be interested in any feedback, any critique, or anything that you can say about it, maybe to strengthen it, maybe some references, other articles to read, or if there's anything in it that seems off, again, let me know. I want to provide you with an accurate piece of work. So, tribalism and the psychology of rejection. I've spoken about our tribal nature before, often about specific groups like anti-vaxxers, flat earthers, fundamentalists, fanboys, etc. But I've also turned that inwards to take a look at atheists and what the new atheist movement has become. Let's firstly briefly go over the basics so we can be sure that we're on the same page, and move forward. Our tribal nature. Humans are a tribal species. It's in our DNA. We work together in groups to survive as part of our evolution, and we came to distrust anything that was different. Others were regarded as dangerous. Even those in the group acting differently might be shunned. We have been guilty of this binary thought, this with us or against us attitude, for a long time. If you try and talk to a gun nut about how there should probably be more restrictions and background checks to ensure guns are cared for safely, and they will just simply hear, "I want to take your guns away because I'm a snowflake libtard." That tends to be the way it goes. I try and explain the burden of proof on a belief position or how morality can be objective to a fellow atheist, and I get called a theist troll, even though I'm just an atheist who's actually looked into these things a little bit more than the average person. As an example. Now, that particular conversation, that basically is what they got to. They found a YouTube video that backed them up, and just then was just like, "Theist troll, wrong, theist troll, you're a theist troll."
And if I remember right, didn't the YouTube video not quite back them up either?
No, it didn't actually fully back them up. It was talking about the burden of proof on a claim, but it didn't cover the rest of epistemic justification.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like, okay. Confirmation bias.
Yep. I mean, that's what tribalism can lead to, is a great amount of confirmation bias.
Yeah, I did. This is a bit of a follow-on article from, like I mentioned at the beginning, called "Confirmation Bias, Fanboys, Fundamentalists, and Our Tribal Nature." And yeah, you do get that sort of thing, and you get it from everyone as well. And it's, I mean, I'm going to address it in the next section, so I won't go too deep into it. But on that article, you had conversations where I was having with David Wolf about the Earth being flat and the ISS not not actually existing, and it just being a balloon projection system. And I mean, maybe after that, just for after we've covered this article, it'd be quite fun to have a look at a couple of those pictures, because yeah. So we can see in school how people are rejected on different parameters: the way they dress, the music they listen to, if they do sport, for example. We can see in communities how people are rejected as well, by their religion, the car they drive, their job, their house, what side of town they're on, the colour of their skin, their political alignment, etc. We are terribly guilty of thinking the worst about people who are different from us. We make snap judgments because they vote a certain way that they must be a bigot, or because their parents are from another country, they're not really part of our country and they're going to be lazy, etc. This says to me, as a species, we've still got a lot of growing up to do. However, I feel I've spoken enough about these behaviours before, and we should have a look at the impact of these behaviours. So each snap judgment can be considered a form of rejection. We exclude people based on the parameters above, or outright deny their position because it's different to ours. We understand why we behave this way, but how does this behaviour affect those whom are being rejected? Tribalism intensifies. So one of the key things that happens with this kind of rejection is it reaffirms your position. Consider the geek that has been made fun by the jock character. The jocks may be patting themselves on the back for another cutting low blow, but what happens to those geeks in that situation? The rejection causes an emotion. It's not nice to feel rejected. To make yourself feel better, you speak to others in your tribe, in this case, other geeks. You'll laugh about how dumb the jocks are, how their life will end with high school, how you're glad you're not one of them. On both sides, we have an affirmation of our tribalism. The jocks patting each other on the back, the geeks reassuring themselves and telling each other that it's better not to be a jock. This causes a massive divide and, over time, incredibly strong feelings of hate towards one another. We can see the same thing happening politically. The left and the right are, at least perceived, so far apart in some countries that they won't even take the time to listen to each other. The other party is instantly wrong, evil, or, stupid, immoral, snowflakes, idiots, bigots, whatever. In these instances, and any others you can think of, the rejection only goes to intensify one's own position. We see the same sort of thing happening with religious missionaries. So, rejecting missionaries. I'm being more general with my use of missionary here, and speaking of any religious person who has been charged with doing door-to-door spread of their particular brand of the good word. The purpose here is less about actually converting people, but more to actually keep those on the mission. With each rejection they get, the more they feel the need to be part of their community, because their community accepts them. They will meet some people who act incredibly horrible to them too, and all of a sudden those lessons about evil atheists will come to the surface too. After completing a mission, the missionary will likely be so disheartened with anyone not part of their tribe and feel so desperate to get back to said tribe. This could also be part of the reason Mormons send their elders out when they're so young. They are reaffirming all their years of indoctrination with a series of harsh rejections before they've had a chance to experience the world. So we should consider our approach. When discussing a topic with someone who's of a completely different position to you, a different approach is warranted. Spraying out your ideas and telling them they're wrong will not work. It will make them feel rejection. It might even make them bite you. Insulting and other forms of aggressive behaviour will also not work. The best thing to do is tell the person you want to understand their position. Ask open questions and let them tell you why they fit there. Try not to put anything about your position in, just ask for clarity on certain bits if needed. Build a bit of a rapport with them so that they realise you're willing to engage in conversation and discuss ideas rather than just another twat looking to fling poo. Take your time and hopefully they will start asking you questions. If you can have a calm and collected conversation, perhaps you will realise you're not all that different in a number of ways and only differ on a couple. Maybe one or even both of you might change your mind on a few topics. At the very least, you've prevented one instance of tribalistic affirmation. And always remember, when changing a mind, Respect matters. That's one of Dave's articles. And this actual conversation here about rejection ties into our conversation on Tuesday about dialectic conversations versus heuristic ones. The heuristic style conversation is only going to, intensify someone's tribalism. a dialectic one might help break down the walls of tribalism.
Which is kind of what you want.
Oh, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, it depends why you're debating. As we said before, if if you're only debating to be a dick, then obviously a heuristic is where you want to go.
Yeah. If you want to impress an audience or a bunch of fans, then yeah, that is what you want. You want to show him pounding on the other guy. You're the UFC champion of debate kind of thing.
Mm.
But if you want to actually make a difference, you might want to reconsider that. Most
definitely. So just as I said at the beginning of that, I was going to quickly show you some of the crazy things that from this this guy.
You don't really see much of him anymore, thankfully.
No, he's fallen by the wayside. It's now all Kevin Sorbo. That's all I see in my feed.
Yeah, same.
We've gone from one idiot to another. So this is me asking him about the ISS, which you can actually see going over you occasionally. He says it's a high-altitude drone balloon projection system over population centers in order to solidify fakery with people like you.
Well, those are certainly words strung together in a kind of sentence.
Yeah, and not to mention getting something that convincing would probably cost more than the ISS itself.
And it would easily be shown up by, I know people that take pictures of the moon.
Actually, later on, one of the people who read this article or saw the conversation sent me a picture that he took of the ISS himself from using his camera as it was going overhead. And obviously it's not as clear as it looks from up there. But
yeah.
So I also ask him, what does anyone gain by making us think the Earth is spheroidal? And he says, top motive, they're hiding land in or over Antarctica. Shiny object rocket syndrome is sleight of hand and misdirection. And then some porn star went on with it being hollow Earth, which he also liked. And the hollow Earth is a theory that the Earth is actually hollow. The entrance is obviously in Antarctica. And it's filled with giants and Germans from the war, as in Nazis.
Nazis, yeah.
Yeah, that's where they're all hiding out. So not only does he believe the Earth is flat, he also believes it's hollow. So it's not necessarily flat as a disc. It's more oblong.
Yeah.
Cuboid. Would have been a better way to say it, but I just like taking any opportunity to say the word oblong. Say it with me now. It's fun. Oblong.
Obo? They've been watching too many B movies. The Nazis at the center of the Earth.
Yeah, so he's going on about vaccines are fake medicine and all that crap. It was a load of crap, basically. Talking about me making stuff up. So I was giving statistics about how vaccines have actually prevented more disease, and yes, in rare cases that there are injuries, but the net result for the species and the average individual is they're the safer option to take. And obviously the classic iron lung from polio. That was me giving oh yeah, he talks about how gravity's a toxin. There's all sorts of links on there, but it's also talking about his tactical maneuvers, the way he gets people on his side. So this is something that he actually does that's kind of relevant. Is either a fantastic con man or even scary, he actually believes what he's saying. Either way, it generates money from selling his products, his advertising on his site. Like him or not, he's pretty successful, but how does he do it? So I think he goes through different stages. So the first thing is a bit of normalization of his statements. He posts a lot of fantastic, positive vibe memes. Some of the memes are a little bit hippy dippy, but at the end of the day, some of them are really nice, some of them are really encouraging, and some people like seeing that stuff in their feed quite regularly. And you might think, oh well, someone who is posting these positive memes must be a positive person. It's a lot better than all the anger and other shit that I see from other people. Then people start sharing those positive messages, and obviously he's tagged in every single one of those shares so people can see it comes from him. So this builds trust with people. He starts getting a large people following and sharing stuff, friends and all of that. You say, oh, right, yeah, I've seen loads of my friends posting memes from David Wolf now. He seems like a cool guy. He must, understand stuff a lot more. And it escalates. He'll start posting things that are slightly out there occasionally. That will pop up into your feed, and you go, well, he seems right about this other stuff that I've seen. Maybe he's right about this. And you're already building you've already built a cognitive bias for him at this point. So you find yourself agreeing without thinking about it. And this is also like the 3 yeses thing I was talking about, the sales technique the other day, Dave.
Yeah.
And then acceptance. And once you're in, you're in. As soon as you're under the cosh of that pseudoscientific nonsense, it's easier to buy into the rest of it. And before you know it, you'll be engaging in all the common vaccination arguments, flat earth nonsense, and all manner of fallacies. Obviously, this article wasn't the one we were discussing tonight. Hey, Josh, or Josiah, sorry. Nice to see you, dude.
I didn't want to interrupt you while you were on the flow, so...
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I can come out of the articles now. I mean, we've actually covered off the article I wanted to cover and a few extra points from a second article. So I think I'll get rid of the screen and then we can see your face, Dave, in bigly mode.
God help us.
Right, there we go. Things should be back to normal.
Let me have a look at the stream.
Yeah, I can see from my head they are. I'm still getting used to doing the quick changes between things and knowing when to click what where. I almost need like an extra arm and a second mouse to do it all and be a bit smoother. Or maybe just really slow transitions instead of the quick zoom.
Yeah.
Or maybe I should put it on the be right back whilst I'm fiddling around sorting the other stuff. Maybe that would just I don't know.
Nah, people like watching us fuck up. It's part of the charm.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it's better you do it. I'm about as smooth as chunky peanut butter, so...
Yeah, with extra peanuts thrown in.
And concrete.
But yeah, I mean, that was basically what I was discussing tonight. It was the psychology of rejection, how it can affect people and how it can reaffirm their position. So like we've been talking about with in quite a few of our last streams about the way to talk to people, especially the last one about the difference between heuristic and dialectic methods of debate. If you are being heuristic, there is a lot more chance the person's going to feel a form of rejection and going to dig their heels in and not listen to you. You will not change your mind. And if you're trying to change your mind, you might need to change the way you're approaching these discussions. If you're not trying to change your mind and you're just being a dick, that's fine, but can you identify yourself so I can ignore you?
Yeah, put you straight on mute. I mean, the meme people, like that meme guy,
Yeah.
they're pretty obvious, but some of them you try and they won't have it.
No. Yeah. I think the thing is, it's always worth trying with anyone. I wouldn't ever discount someone just because,
they come
being
in hot.
heuristic. Yeah, exactly. There are people who come in hot because that is how everyone is. And the second you break down a little barrier, they calm down and you can have a good conversation. So it's always worth trying, as long as they're trying to have a conversation with you. If they post just meme after meme and they answer your question with another meme, and yeah, I mean, they're not worth it.
Show them your arse and put them on mute.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good you mentioned this, actually, because last night or the night before, sorry, I haven't had much sleep the last few days, so it's all kind of blurred in. Some guy came in hot with real atheology.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it turned into this real kind of slanging match. And I'm guessing it must have been 2 days ago. Because I think yesterday I saw an apology from the guy saying, I apologize for coming in hot. Because the real atheology guys just kind of kept their cool. They did lose their temper a little bit, which is understandable. It's a human trait. But they kind of kept their cool a little bit. And other people came in going, well, look at what these people do. You know, you're not paying attention to what they are, what they do. And eventually the other guy apologized, and it's now become a dialectic.
That's good. That's good. Actually, I've had a couple of examples of that relatively recently, with a post that has gone up. And I don't know if you know Brun the Bear. Is an atheist that pretends to be a bear and basically, does pictures of bears and then addresses theistic arguments, but as a dumb bear. But
it's comedy.
It is, but I posted something and he basically flew off the handle at me because I think he misunderstood what I was saying. And even added me to some list about, I don't know, some idiot Twitter theist shit, whatever it was, even though I'm not even a theist. So I was probably discussing the definition of atheism or the burden of proof or morality, because they're the main ones I get called a theist for.
Yeah.
But I mean, he came back to me and he apologized, which I said to him, I mean, you didn't have to. I didn't take offense at what you said. I get that a lot, but thank you. It takes a lot to actually say sorry to someone.
It does.
Yeah. And there was another guy as well who misunderstood. So I think I retweeted someone and added a comment, and he responded to me with a really nasty comment, and I basically questioned it and was like, again, open questions and all of that. He did something else that got him a ban, but then the next thing I know, I actually got an email at the admin at answersinreason.com saying, like, I'm really sorry, I wasn't attacking you, I was attacking the other person. And I said, yeah, I figured you were, but I think there was a part where you actually missed what they were saying, and I explained it to him, and he was like, oh shit, yeah, right, I'm really sorry then. And again, it was like, okay, excellent. We're having good conversations. Now, generally that doesn't happen, but to both of those people, credit where it's due. It takes a lot to swallow your pride and say you're sorry, especially if you mean it. When you mean it, it's a lot harder. It's really easy to say sorry when you don't care. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Whatever. Sorry. That's easy. But when you actually go, fuck, I have done something wrong. There's no real way I can put this right. The only thing I can do is say sorry and hope they accept it, please.
Yeah. And especially if not saying sorry will make you look better to your peers, because you've dug your heels in, you're showing that you're one of the fighters. I mean, that's what the real atheology thing was. The guy came in saying, well, if you were a real atheist, you wouldn't say that arguments from Christians can be reasonable.
Oh shit, am I going to start getting flamed from that? I've said that a few times recently.
We're nowhere near as big as real atheology, so we don't have to worry about stuff like that.
No, we just have people commenting that they don't like my laugh.
We're British. We laugh at everything.
Yeah, well, we have to, because otherwise we'd have to show you how miserable we really are.
Have you seen our weather?
Basically, I think most of our days are overcast, And if they're not overcast the whole day, they pretty much are for some of the day anyway. So
Yeah.
it makes us, wistfully melancholy, I guess, at best.
And we also have to hear about Americans drinking cold tea. Yeah, see, that makes us miserable.
And they're really weak, pissy lager.
Yeah.
And their pints only being 464 mils, 466 mils, whatever it is, rather than ours that are 568. So when they come over here and have a pint, they can't hold it because it's usually 5% and it's a larger pint, which is always great. It's always great. So when your American friends come over and go out for a drink with you and they realize that they don't know how to drink, but then they've got good weather, so they don't need to as much.
No, that's it. I mean, that's what I'll be doing later, admittedly.
Yeah.
3 or 4 triple vodkas just to help me stay asleep all night.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's needed sometimes.
Not nice, but needed. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on the wine tonight. Well, it's not why I'm on the wine tonight. I'm on the wine tonight because I wanted a glass of wine, and I chose the biggest wine glass we have. We've only got one of these left because the wife keeps smashing them.
It's tiny. You should see Emma's.
It's almost as big as my head, and I've got quite a big head. So I keep telling her. But yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, just to bring it back around to the article, the thing you were talking about, although this is the second article, the thing about how David Wolf, integrates himself into others. It's very interesting, that bit, because that's also how Britain's First and the EDL worked. They start out by sharing memes of, like, if you're against animal abuse, share this if you'd like to see our veterans not be homeless, and slowly build up to, if you think Islam is dangerous to West, if you would like to keep immigrants out, and it just slowly, it's like boiling a toad.
Yeah, interesting you say that, actually. That does make a lot of sense the way they do it. I'm now semi-worried that the reason they do it that way is because of that second article, the one we briefly skimmed over just for the David Wolf comedy, is that they read that and they use that as methodology to get in people's heads. It's my fault. It's my fault they got anywhere in England. Ah!
Oh, I wouldn't worry about that. It's kind of standard propaganda technique. Yeah. I mean, it's basically how QAnon worked. Release little tidbits of kind of sort of factual information. It could be true, it could not be true, but there's that little hint of truth in there, and just keep ramping up the craziness, building up the tribe. And once you built up that tribe who trust you enough, you can say whatever the fuck you like.
Yeah, unleash the crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think we found our 5-point plan, Dave.
We'd feel dishonest if we did anything like that, though. That's the problem.
I know. We're happier, maybe the wrong term, but at least more content with having people hate us for telling the truth.
Yeah.
Or providing information, providing a different perspective. You can look at this in a number of different ways. If you look at it this way, then it's this. But there are also these ways. No, there's only this way. Well, what makes you say that there's only that way?
Yeah. We'd rather be critical than just big.
Yeah. And hopefully, some people will watch these videos and come back to us and have some good points, and we'll get a few people on here and have some, dialectic conversations with some other people on stream. And that's the thing. We'd love to have people on here, especially if they hold a different ontological position or want to discuss a different topic, but we want to have a discussion rather than it be a debate, because a debate gets far too monological and heuristic, and that's not what we're about, So yeah, anyone out there, if you just want to come on and have a conversation about something, I mean, LB we want to have him on to discuss deism. I know he's not here tonight, but it'd be great to have him here because it's a different topic and it's something I've only really skimmed past. I've got a base understanding of deism, and there's a lot of Christian influence to his deism. He was, as he says, an evangelical at one point, which is why there's a lot of Christian influence to his deism. And it'd be just interesting to ask him how that all works together. I do have a base understanding, but I'm not going to assume his understanding of it. Yes, I've spoken to Christian deists before, but they're not all the same. That's why there's so many different denominations. Not every Christian is the same as every other. In fact, even those in the same denomination might still have a different interpretation to others in their particular church or whatever. So it would be an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows, maybe one day we'll make an atheist out of him.
Yeah. I know we'll be very good at that. We're so busy going, yeah, your stance could be reasonable.
Yeah, we'd agree with him too much and get called Theist trolls.
Yeah. I mean, also full credit to him for for rising above that psychology or rejection, as you call it. He wasn't worried about being rejected by his tribe. He went with what he felt.
Yeah. And that's great. And do you know what? The reason he's a deist now could, and I'm not trying to judge his position, but like, for example, when I left religion, I found other religions because I felt an emptiness there. And I think it's quite natural to go from religion to religion to religion till eventually you might come to a point where either, okay, yeah, this one definitely is right for me, or no, I don't believe in any of it. And then you might go a few steps further and go, yeah, do you know what? I believe there aren't any gods. And these are all the arguments for and against and etc. And this is what's convinced me. It's quite a natural path to take. You never know. I mean, there might be a chance that I have an experience or something like that actually makes me go, no, do you know what? I have seen Kali and she has told me that if I do not become a Hindu, she's going to slaughter my whole family. So I'm going to convert. I really believe that was true. Might happen, you know.
Well, I mean, that for a lot of people, that is what moves them towards religion, is some kind of spiritual experience. I'm not saying all of them, but I've met plenty who said I've had experience X, and that has shown me that there is more to this than the physical.
Yeah, especially those that are born again. That tends to be where it happens, whether it's a near-death experience or some form of healing that they've seen, or even just a really strong dream that convinced them of something happening like that. That tends to be what brings people back in. Very rarely is it of a different religion to the religion that you were either brought up with or is the main religion in the country.
Yeah.
Occasionally it might be a different version of the same religion. But, you know, I can understand how this is convincing to people. It plays with us on an emotional level, and we are largely emotional beings before we're intellectual ones.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'd like it if we were intellect first, but maybe it's better that we're not.
No, you wouldn't, because then you wouldn't find half the jokes you like funny. True. You'd be watching slapstick comedy and going, well, this is ridiculous. It's just people being hurt.
I kind of do with slapstick comedy in general.
Get out. I'm going. How dare you? No, if it's good slapstick like Naked Gun or something like that.
I enjoyed the Naked Gun. Yeah, so those sort of things. And like even Monty Python stuff. But Monty Python's slapstick and clever.
And clever. Same with Naked Gun.
Yeah, exactly. But for example, I didn't like any of Jim Carrey's movies until he did a couple of serious ones. And I thought it was brilliant in The Number of 23 and The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but I didn't like anything before that. I mean, it just wasn't me. I suppose The Mask was okay, but then it was cartoony, so it was supposed to be the way it was, but I didn't really like Ace Ventura and Cable Guy and other ones I watched, and everybody loved them.
Yeah, see, I didn't like The Mask. I thought it was kind of overhyped and overrated. Good special effects. It had its moments, but I actually quite like Cable Guy. It was
Fair.
quite dark and odd and weird,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm a stalker.
Yeah, I think though I was probably about 12, 13 when I watched it. So it might have been there was a lot in there that just didn't appeal to me at that age.
Yeah,
Um,
understandable.
it's like when I first watched Silence of the Lambs, I was just like, why is this an 18? It's not even scary. I'm not even concerned by it because I think I was about 11 at the time and I was around my nana's house and I was like, please can I watch it? Please can I watch it? Because everybody had gone on about it and she was like, oh, go on then. And I think if I was older watching it, I would have understood a lot more and found it a lot more disconcerting. But as a kid, I basically just got the surface and I didn't
Yeah,
feel the psychological thrill that you go through watching something like that. It was just a bit like, this is a bit dull. Not much is happening. Where's the action?
yeah.
So, I mean,
See,
some of it can be an age.
oh yeah, definitely. Sometimes you have to be able to engage with the material and understand what's going on and understand the psychology and all that kind of stuff to get the most out of it.
Exactly. And similarly, the reason I like The Mask I was probably really young when that came out. And therefore it what did appeal to me because it was cartoons. And
It was
because
Bugs
I've
Bunny.
yeah, exactly. And because I have that attachment to it from when I was younger, I can still watch it and go, oh, you know. Whereas the other movies I've never liked. And yeah, there's a few quotable lines, but
It depends, yeah. But again, if you weren't emotive before intellect and you were solely intellect, there's a lot of stuff you wouldn't quite enjoy as you should.
yeah, well,
And
I
you
don't think we
wouldn't
should
be
be
human.
solely intellect. I
Oh,
just
no, but intellect before emotion.
yeah.
You would miss out on a lot of the human experience.
Probably would. Yeah. I don't know, but maybe that's where some people actually sit on the spectrum as well. Maybe that's some people who are far more cognitive than they are emotional, and maybe that's why they struggle understanding other people because they think so differently and they don't feel as strongly as other people. I could even have it the same where someone feels incredibly strongly about everything. I find that hard to sometimes engage with that sort of person.
I do. I tend to lean the other way where I have problems bonding with people because I'm more cognitive than emotional. Um, but, I'm not as bad as it could be.
Hmm. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, really. But where's
It's
the right
probably
balance? Where's the right balance?
it's in the median,
Yeah.
as
I
Aristotle put it.
I would say that if emotions didn't override, like strong emotions didn't override our reasoning process, but the rest of it was there. So what I mean by that are the times when something makes you incredibly angry or sad or whatever, and you flip out and you're just your mind isn't there anymore. You know the whole you see red and you start smashing things and that side of emotion, I think we could do without.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it's basically an ancient fight or flight response that's coming through, and it's just oh look, I've done a bit of science.
As they say, it's the lizard brain.
Yeah, yeah, and that bit, I think that we could probably do without that. We need the intellect to override that, but I do take your point that if we were too cognitive and all of our intellect came before any emotion, we would miss out on a lot. We would find it harder to bond. We wouldn't be such a social species. And being a social species is what has helped us to survive.
Yeah. I mean, it would also help with the whole psychology of rejection thing we were just talking about because if we were solely cognitive, we wouldn't worry about what other groups think about us. But it's also worrying about what our in-group thinks about us that sort of helps us to stay in line, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But equally, if the other group also didn't care, would there be the issue? Would there be people feeling rejected because actually they're thinking, well, no, they're just saying something different, and they think I'm wrong, so I'll ask them why they're wrong. Would we have a heuristic dialogue if we were purely cognitive?
I don't think we would, because we would approach everything from the intellectual side rather than the me king of the castle. You stay out of my castle.
So from a certain perspective, we could argue that being, more cognitive, or at least cognitive first, could have some benefits that way and help resolve debate. But at the same time, it would have negative effects as well, because we wouldn't work as together unless we reasoned our way to working together. We wouldn't be a default social species. We'd be cognitively social because we see that it works best.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's a fine balance. This is why I kind of like the virtue ethics. Sorry, I'm kind of tired, and getting the words to the foreground is a little difficult. But that's based on feeling a feeling, pondering on that feeling, wondering why you're having the feeling, what's the best response to the feeling, what's the best response to the other people. It accepts that we have these emotional things, and then we should reason around them. And by reasoning around them, we train ourselves to reason around them and train ourselves to be the best people.
Yeah, it's definitely the more cognitive of the moral theories, isn't it? I think that's, I suppose, another attractive quality to it that I actually like about virtue ethics, but also makes it so much harder.
Oh yeah, it's the most difficult because it's training. It's not just, oh well, this will lead to the best consequences, or okay, I'm not breaking a duty here. It's okay, what am I doing, and why is it the right thing to do? Why am I doing it? It's difficult.
Yeah. It definitely is. I mean, I think the other moral theories are just so, I mean, deontology or deontological moral theories, you've just got your rules there, haven't you? You don't really have to think about it. Am I following the rules? That's the only question you really have to ask yourself. That's probably the easiest, but probably suffers the most problems. And the consequentialist moral, sorry, Dave.
I was just going to say, before you move on to the consequentialist ones, with the deontology, there's still a certain amount of cognitive thing in there, because you have to wonder, well, is this the right duty? Is this the good duty? Which duty should I be following in the case of conflicting ones? But it's not quite the level that virtue ethics is.
That's interesting. I suppose it depends if you're following a particular form of deontology or a more bigger sort of brand of deontology, because
more Kantian.
Yeah. Yeah, fair point. Good critique. And yes, for the consequentialist ones, I think they're actually quite a good finger in the air for general day-to-day life, because especially if you're not well trained in being a virtuous person, it can at least give you a generally good measure. But as we've discussed in all of our podcasts, there are so many flaws, and you can end up doing things that you would instinctively feel are incredibly immoral, but under the theory would actually be moral. And that's why I think, again, virtue ethics does have that benefit for you. It teaches you how to be a better person for yourself. It's not about your actions so much. Yes, that's the next level that comes down to it, but it's about you and what you think and how you think you should act, and then you do the next bit and goes out from there, rather than judging the consequence or following a rule.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you learn how to be a good person, good actions kind of flow from that. Like, you can accidentally harm someone with goodwill. Like you might be doing the wrong thing out of goodwill, but at least you'll be stopping to think about why you're doing it and what you're doing and the reasons behind it and what you think the outcome will be and all that kind of stuff. That's why I always recommend value pluralism, because you can have a nice mix of all those different things. You can start with a consequentialist idea. Will this bring about the best consequences? Are these guiding my actions right? And then think about it in a more virtuous way, or, duty-ish way.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, I suppose I do sometimes think in terms of a utilitarian or hedonistic sort of consequentialist first, and then I do almost think if everybody was to do this action or everybody was to not do this action, sort of almost take a form of Kantian ethics on it.
Yeah.
Would it actually be good that way? Because as much as I would like to be a virtuous person, I'm not there yet. So I have to think about it in terms of those two first, especially if it's I need an answer on this now.
Yeah.
Sitting there and deliberating it the way you would have to give it your full attention as a virtuous person and weighing up the virtues and how much, and it's really complicated. I like it, but it can be exhausting to do for every situation until it becomes second nature, and hopefully one day it will be. And hopefully more and more situations will come up that I can judge without having to be in the moment. I can actually think about, oh yeah, so if I was to do that, and how would that turn out? No, if I was,
Yeah. I mean, that's basically Aristotle's argument, is that eventually it becomes a disposition. It just takes a lot of training up till then.
like
So,
manners in a way.
yeah, absolutely. And like with the consequentialism, like you mentioned, it can just give you an instant, okay, what's the best thing to do here? What will give us the best consequences? What will create the least suffering, the most happiness? I'll go with that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, hey LB, nice to see you, dude. And you say, that old saying, victory cannot be achieved without some sacrifices. That's a perfect example of what Dave said.
Yep.
Yeah.
And hey, LB.
Nice to see you, dude. You missed the article reading, I'm afraid. And I was talking about you earlier, and you don't know where that is, so you're going to have to go back and watch the rerun. But yeah, it's back to the original point on the psychology of rejection. We have covered a lot of this recently with our heuristic versus dialectic, the monological versus dialogical, talking about debate styles, talking about how rejection can affect someone, make them sink in, talking about why you're actually discussing atheism and theism and online. Are you trying to convince someone that they're wrong, or that your position is right, or that maybe they need to reconsider things, or are you actually just being a bully? Is that why you're doing it? You're having fun, making fun of people, because that is essentially bullying. So I think that we've actually covered a lot of different aspects of this from different angles, and it's been quite enjoyable. And I think it's time that we do move forward to a bit of a different topic in the coming weeks. But I would love to know any of your thoughts on the last few videos that we've done, especially, and if there is any critique that you've got for it. And yeah, feel free to come on and have a conversation with us. Again, we're open to pretty much every conversation, as long as it's a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk cod shit for hours. We can.
Yep. I mean, I'd be happy for a debate if somebody really wanted one, but my heart just wouldn't be in it quite like an actual discussion.
I think if you were going to have a debate, I would have to make sure I kept quiet and did my best to moderate. But if it becomes as frustrating as that almost debate that you had with Chris, I mean, I kept on having to just say and cut through it occasionally. So it would probably be better if there was a more
Neutral
objective,
bystander.
third party. Because I'm probably far too close to the topic and close to Dave to be impartial. I will have a bias there. I will, as a default, be leaning towards what Dave is saying. And so, yeah, I mean, there we go. If someone does want to debate, let's find an impartial moderator as well.
But I'd rather just have a conversation with you.
Yeah. Why not try and have a conversation? If you're really a big king debater, why not try and have a conversation?
Well, to be honest, I think in a debate, you're putting your side across and you're trying to prove your side is the winner. But it wouldn't an actual two-way dialogue prove that even better?
Yeah.
Because then you would be challenging your own ideals as well as challenging other people's. And if you're that confident in your own ideal, you'll be quite happy to have that challenged at the same time.
So you'd think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you've got to manage your own expectations there, Dave.
Yeah, I've just been doing philosophy for too long. I mean, even philosophy Twitter can be quite a battlefield on occasion.
It can, but generally it's a lot better, especially when you're engaging with people who do have more of a general philosophical understanding, rather than the people who weigh in on the philosophical topics that they have no understanding in.
Yeah.
I'd, bring it up again, I apologize, but like the conversations we have on morality or various definitions of atheism or anything like that, those are quite often the most frustrating battles that we go through.
Yeah.
LB says, in my view, debates are useless. As Dave said, you got two sides who both think the winner is. Debates are more about I win, you lose, and tribalism runs rampant too. Exactly. That's why we want to have a conversation. That's. It doesn't matter what it's about. Like, come on and tell us why you like cars. I mean, you won't get much interest from me, but
For me.
But feel free. We'll give you a monological view where we won't interrupt you. But no, seriously, we would like something with a little bit more substance that we can actually have a discussion on.
I mean, I've got a reasonable grounding in quite a wide range of philosophical topics. I'm not an expert in any, really. I mean, but I've got a reasonable grounding in a lot of them.
And I'm good enough to blag like I know something.
Well, that's what I meant. I was just putting it more poshly.
And yeah, I mean, I was quite impassioned by science when I was younger as well. So, especially things like anti-vaxxers and stuff like that. I quite like having those conversations. Though I have let a lot of the science go to the side. I do still check new articles and papers when they come out, but I don't have the time for everything. I'm far more interested in the philosophical stuff, plus raising a family, plus my job where I program all day, plus when I get a chance to having a mix. By the time that's done, I mean, I've barely got time to drink my wine, and that leaves me a grumpy boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think at least now from the last few episodes, you should have an understanding of different debate styles and why we think it's better to have a conversation than a fight. And hopefully you can spend some time looking into other debate styles, applying the Socratic method maybe a little bit better than street epistemology does, because that's more just Socratic style questions, as you said on Tuesday, Dave.
Yeah.
It has the Socratic style questions, but it's not the entire Socratic method.
It's more about instilling doubt than finding truth.
Yeah. It's not two-way, as you were saying. It's a one-way. breaking down someone else's beliefs rather than getting to a truth, as you just
Yeah.
said. um, so we've also got a show booked in for Tuesday, don't we, Dave?
About the Mino.
Oh yes, don't be meano to me. I knew there was
Yeah.
some sort of
I quite
pun
like
in
that title.
there. Yeah, so we're basically going to be going over the Mino. We're not going to be doing like what I did tonight and reading the whole thing out, but we may read out certain sections of it, and just discussing that again from a sort of dialectic sort of point. And after Tuesday, I think that should give you enough of a well-rounded view, end to end, between psychology and the Socratic method and all of that sort of stuff, just to show you why conversations and the Socratic method are a better way to approach these conversations than being heuristic and fighting and defending a position and rejecting anyone that's a little bit different from you.
Yeah, absolutely. A good way I could put it is, rather than having an argument about who's right, have a discussion about what's right.
Nice. Yeah. Take yourself out of it. I think that's the big problem with a lot of positions. Too much ego is put into them. You often hear, don't attack the person, attack the belief. The problem there is the beliefs are quite ingrained into someone's personality, aren't they?
Well, yeah, it makes up who we are, is what we believe.
So an attack on a belief can feel like a personal attack, even though that's not the intention. And I get that that isn't the intention of what you are doing. You're attacking the belief, but that belief is attached to a person and it's held by someone, so it still feels like a personal attack. Especially if you say, this belief is stupid. And you go, well, I hold this belief, so you're saying I'm stupid for holding this belief because holding a stupid belief makes you a stupid person. It's a natural progression of the thought process. So again, don't necessarily attack the belief. Discuss what's right in the belief. What made them come to that belief? Have they considered this about the belief? And again, we're back to saying have a conversation.
Well, let's think about it in this way. A lot of atheists will say something like, I'm not attacking the person, I'm attacking the belief. Now, how do they feel when the Christian or the Muslim says, I'm not attacking the sinner, I'm attacking the sin?
Depending on the particular argument style, I mean, some of them will just go, well, sin doesn't exist, so...
Yeah, but they usually say, no, when you say homosexuality is bad, you're denying somebody's existence, or you're making a claim about them being a bad person. Well, the same is true in reverse when you say that a belief is stupid.
We do actually notice this a hell of a lot. There's being atheists ourselves, we do notice that other atheists commit a lot of acts of special pleading, essentially expecting the theist they're having this discussion with to be held to a particular standard that they don't feel like they need to be held to the same standard themselves. Whether it's because they're telling the creationists to look up the science about evolution rather than just go with what the flock are saying, and then turning around and not looking up on the philosophy of the various definitions of atheism and understanding that it's more than just only a lack of belief. That is one of the definitions of many. Well, philosophy's dead. I'm not going to look into it. You're having a philosophical conversation. Oh,
yeah.
You've even just made another philosophical statement. Or on many things, even just with behaviors, like Dave was just explaining, the conversation between theists and atheists. Oh, yeah, I'm just attacking the belief. Oh, I'm just attacking the sin. No, you can't do that, because by attacking the sin, you're attacking the person. Oh, well, the other way around, by attacking the belief, you are attacking the person. It's not a direct attack. Neither of them will see that they're making a direct attack either.
No.
And they that's the same thing. They truly believe, as long as they are doing it with as best intentions, being charitable, that by attacking the belief, they're not actually doing any harm to the person who holds the belief. They are literally addressing the belief. Like they're saying, when they are addressing the sin, well, God says X is wrong, and they go, well, you're dismissing all person X. They're not feeling that, they're not seeing the link there. Yet constantly things are being held to different standards, and I think we atheists need to be better and hold ourselves to the standards that we proclaim to have, that we are more rational, that we are more logical, that we are more moral, that we are more intelligent. We need to start demonstrating these behaviors, because online you're just as bad as the fundies.
Yeah. A lot of them anyway.
Yeah, obviously, again, I'm 80-20 rule of what I see as well, of what I see. So there are plenty of great atheists out there as well who are far better. I mean, look at Ozzy, look at Real Atheology. You know, they're great folks. Plenty of others out there as well. Look at Oppie. I mean, for a philosopher, Stephen Law. Blimey, I love following his account. I love reading his articles as well.
Fantastic.
He writes in such a way that I sometimes I feel like saying, you've made an incredibly boring topic seem so incredibly interesting. I don't know how you did it, but thank you.
You can just hear his passion for philosophy come out in the way he talks and the way he writes. You can tell he just loves communicating it.
Yeah. And do you know what? He takes joy from other people enjoying it as well, which you would as a standard. I mean, when you do write something or produce something and someone likes your work, it is a good feeling. But the fact that he will engage with anyone who's talking about his work and everything like that, it's such a nice thing to see, because some people are a bit more lofty than that. No, well, I'm not going to talk to the peasants. You know?
Well, if you watch some of Graham Oppie's videos, you'll actually see a picture of Stephen Law in the background. So even Graham Oppie loves Stephen Law.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to dig out some of his pictures. Is that some more of his recent lockdown videos, as in Oppie's?
It's ones from the university.
Ones from the university, yeah, fair. He looks like he's in a storeroom at the moment, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah, I thought my room looked bad with all the bed and mattresses and all that crap everywhere. But at least I don't look like I'm in a stockroom. But yeah, so yeah, after Tuesday's video on essentially the Socratic method, we will be moving on to a different topic. If there are any topics that we've done previously that you want us to expand on or have questions about or anything like that, feel free to let us know. We're happy to go over things again, clarify things, or simply, you know, do the next section of it. Because a lot of the videos that we do are the start of a topic, but, you know, after an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, we've kept you long enough. You're not going to be listening anymore. You're not going to be watching. My attention span, it's way less than that.
I do know after 5 minutes, and I'm the one speaking.
So yeah, honestly, if you want us to cover up anything again or in more detail or anything like that, please ask. We're more than happy to do it. You can obviously find us on Twitter at answersinreason.com and at TrolleyDave1971.
Yeah.
You can obviously find us on the Facebook page, which is Answers in Reason, or the Facebook group at Answers in Reason. So the Facebook page is managed by all of us. The group is adminned by all of the Answers in Reason guys as well. We are on Instagram at Answers in Reason again, but I very rarely use that account. I used to use it to post memes and stuff like that, but I don't have the time or patience to do it. We are also on Twitch at Davidian Twitchy Balls, and I think that's about everywhere you can find us. Of course, there's the website, answersinreason.com, answers-in-reason.com, although I do have both that should be forwarding over whatever you put in. And last but not least, YouTube. Again, search for Answers in Reason. I think most of the people watching us generally are watching from either YouTube or Twitch, so you're probably there already. But, you know, we would appreciate a like, a subscribe, a comment, a share, anything like that you can do. Really appreciate anything. Even just watching makes us happy. But any interaction that we can get from you and conversation is absolutely fantastic too. Dave, was there anything you wanted to cover off before we finish for the night?
No, that was perfect.
Awesome. So tonight we covered off the psychology of rejection and a few other random tidbits. And that's it. You've been watching the Fresh Air Sci-Fi Show. I'm Joe.
And I'm Sleepy Dave.
Good night, all.
Good night, all.
Oops. I've gone through all the wrong ones. I thought, I'd just go straight to the end. Where is the end? Stream ending, there we go.
It never comes. It's always here.
I've obviously forgotten my shortcut keys.
And good night, LP.
Yeah, have a good one all. So we usually stream Tuesdays 8 p.m. GMT and 3 p.m. Eastern, and Thursday 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern. The streams are usually 2 hours long or less. If you are interested in music and you see us streaming before that time, then chances are I'm having a mix. Though if you want some good music, I'd suggest go elsewhere.